Hello, welcome to Human Design Center. I'm glad that we share a common interest in human design, the science of differentiation, the art of living your life according to your unique design and genetic matrix that sustains it. You have a unique cosmic imprint, and you may start learning about your uniqueness by listening to the gates of your chart. Today, you are going to learn or recap, as the case may be, about Hexagram 20, Contemplation, Now, recognition and awareness in the now, which transforms understanding into right action. Hexagram 20 SOS is part of second trimester of DUBHE, where we accomplish our purpose through physical form, civilization. Gate 20 corresponds to goddess MAIA, the feminine archetype of the mother of all gods, being the one that gave birth to Hermes, the messenger of the Olympic gods. Zodiac sign, Gemini. Gate 20 flows within integration channels, connecting in different channels with gates 10, 34. Gate 20 SOS is also part of the individual circuits group, which is about present, hearing, acoustic, melancholy, empowering myself and empowering others. Keyword: empowerment for myself and integration channels. Empowerment of myself and of other people for individual circuit. Center, throat center, which is about communication, manifestation, metamorphosis, transformation through human interaction. The harmonic gate are 57, 10, 34. Let's see each channel. With gate 57, the gentle, intuitive clarity forms the projected channel of brainwave, flowing in the individual circuitry. With gate 10, treading, the behavior of the self forms the projected channel of awakening, a design of devotion to the highest principles, a channel of integration. With gate 34, the power of the great forms the generated channel of charisma, an integration channel. The opposite gate is number 34, the power of the great. Aminoacid, leucine, relevant organ, brainstem, medulla, spinal cord. Tarot card associated, 10 of cups. Leucine is an essential branched chain amino acid, BCAA, meaning that the body cannot produce it on its own and must obtain it from food or supplements. It plays a crucial role in muscle growth, protein synthesis, and overall metabolic health. Let's refer to these roles one by one. 1. Muscle growth and repair. Leucine is the most potent BCAA in stimulating muscle protein synthesis. It activates a specific mechanism in the body that promotes muscle growth and repair. Athletes and bodybuilders often consume high leucine foods or supplements to support muscle recovery and strength gains. 2. Energy production and metabolism. Leucine is used as an energy source during exercise and fasting, helping to maintain muscle mass. It can be converted into ketones, making it beneficial for people following a ketogenic diet. It helps regulate blood sugar levels by improving insulin sensitivity and reducing glucose spikes. 3. Wound healing and tissue repair. Leucine accelerates the healing process by promoting collagen formation and cell regeneration. It's especially beneficial post-surgery or after injuries, where tissue repair is essential. 4. Brain and nervous system function. Leucine supports the production of neurotransmitters, which are essential for cognitive function and mental clarity. It may help reduce mental fatigue and improve focus and alertness. 5. Fat loss and metabolic health. Leucine helps preserve lean muscle mass while promoting fat loss. It may reduce cravings and appetite, making it useful for weight management. In order to take leucine from food, we have animal sources: chicken, beef, eggs, fish, dairy, cheese, milk, yogurt, and plant sources: lentils, chickpeas, quinoa, soybeans, nuts, and seeds. Most people can get enough leucine through a balanced diet. Athletes or those recovering from injuries may need higher amounts. Leucine supplements can be helpful for intense training, muscle recovery, or fasting periods. Any supplements shall be taken by doctor's prescription. This material is just a research for the understanding of human design gates. It does not represent an advice. So, since we've located the gate on the mandala and on the body graph, and we have a general summary of the essential characteristics of gate 20, you also know the benefits of the amino acid associated with the behavior of this placement. You have the elements to keynote the message of this gate. If you have this gate active in your chart, take your time, compose the key phrase of this gate, and feel how it resonates. Leave a comment. Share your insights and understandings. Now, let's have a look to the energy of Gate 20, a gate of contemplation in the now. Recognition and awareness in the present moment is a basic theme of this gate. Gate 20 in human design is all about living in the now, where true awareness exists. It represents recognition, presence, and the ability to transform understanding into right action in the present moment. Located in the throat center, Gate 20 is designed to express what is immediately recognized. However, it does not operate alone. It needs energy from other centers, like the ajna, sacral, or G, to fuel action or direction. Awareness in the present moment. This gate holds the power to see, recognize, and understand reality as it unfolds, without getting lost in past or future concerns. Transformation through right action. When aligned, Gate 20 enables a person to act correctly in the moment, based on pure awareness rather than overthinking or hesitation. Connection to expression. As part of the throat center, Gate 20 gives voice to what is seen in the now, but it needs other gates to determine whether it leads to action or simply recognition. Contemplation versus immediate action. This gate alone does not act impulsively, but rather expresses the truth of the moment, which, when connected properly, can transform into meaningful action. The power of now, in Gate 20, is deeply tied to presence and mindfulness. It teaches that true power lies in the ability to be fully aware and respond correctly in the moment, rather than reacting from fear, conditioning, or over-analysis. When balanced, it provides a deep sense of flow, where understanding leads effortlessly to action. When out of alignment, it can lead to hesitation, speaking without action, or feeling stuck between awareness and movement. Let's see how Gate 20 operates in different channels, since Gate 20 does not act alone. Its full expression depends on the channels it connects to. With Gate 34, integration channel of charisma, from sacral to throat, powerful, instinctual, and immediate action in the now. It says, I am in action now, meaning the very moment I speak, I also act. With Gate 10, integration channel of awakening, from G-center to throat, living one's truth and expressing personal identity in the moment. It says, I am myself now. Self-absorbed behavior is the healthiest state for these beings. With Gate 57, individual channel of the brainwave, from spleen to throat, intuitive clarity that allows for spontaneous decision-making. It says, I know I am. Gate 20 is about right action versus premature action. True power in Gate 20 is knowing when to act and when to wait. Sometimes awareness does not mean immediate action, but simply recognition, absorption within the peripheral view. It thrives best when connected to energy sources that can fuel appropriate movement rather than just speaking or thinking about action. Gate 20 is the voice of the present moment, recognizing what is true now. It transforms awareness into right action, but only when aligned with the correct energy. It is about authentic presence. When you fully embody the now, life flows effortlessly. In many ways, we have here, in Gate 20, the most complex hexagram in the throat process, because the 20th hexagram is not simply looking to the potential of a harmonic gate. It is part of the integration network. It is looking at 3 different gates, It represents the expression of the individual capacity to survive. It is the voice that says, I know I am, or I know I am now, and all the configurations that come with the various connections and integration. This 20th gate is the only so-called existential gate. Existential means that it operates in the present. Above the lines, it says, recognition and awareness in the now, which transforms understanding into right action. This is awareness in the now, so there is a great deal of confusion about this statement, recognition and awareness. This is not an awareness gate. As in the awareness centers, don't make confusions. This is indeed a mechanical gate that brings you into the now, based on mechanical processes. Indeed, it is a mechanical gate that has direct access to awareness, to the 57th gate in the splenic system, and the potential for awareness in that sense. What is important about this is that this represents a peripheral mechanic in which the present is recognized. I repeat the idea. From the perspective of recognition, presence in the now, being present in the now, you have to remember that this is a mechanical gate, and that recognition and presence in the now, the awareness in the now, it's all about peripheral mechanic way of recognizing the moment, the present. This is not a force like the collective force that is either projecting into the future or looking at the past. This is something that is occupied entirely in the present. I hope I've piqued your curiosity, because we go on now to climb the 6 lines ladder of Gate 20. It's a process that will bring clarity to you in relation to nuances of the content and expression of the 20th gate. At the end, we will touch upon the crosses of incarnation, where Gate 20 plays its role for our conscious sun, and become part of the purpose. Let's see the 6 stages of development of this energy and possible dualism in its manifestation. Gate 20, Line 1, Superficiality. Superficiality can be expressed as a tool, as the high frequency of using this gate for being ready and alert for anything in any moment. It's a tool when you recognize the very moment when a quick response is useful, while also knowing when to dive deeper. Superficiality becomes a tool when you use it as an ability to quickly assess situations, but being mindful before acting or speaking. Developing patience to allow deeper contemplation when necessary, being present without forcing wisdom, allowing true understanding to arise naturally. This is when your superficiality becomes a precious tool for the primary intelligence of your body. Now, be always aware that this first line, as any first line, gives you the foundation. You are the investigator. Many people are confused or have problems with this first line. It is called superficiality as a reliance on shallowness. Ra Uruhu said that it is easy to understand what shallowness refers to in the real life of a 20th gate when you observe your own cat. You see that your cat that is sitting there in the now and is really looking disinterested in everything, as it does not do anything. What you don't know is that it just seems to be totally disinterested, but it is not. This is the way of being very superficial on the surface. It looks very shallow at what it is doing, but all of its antennae are ready and alert for anything at any moment. Being in the now is not that state when you are moving around, trying to swallow everything. Being in the now is the peripheral mechanic recognition that you are always ready and alert in the now, and you can understand your life. You can respond to what life brings in, because there is this primal force inside of you that puts you in contact with the periphery and the surroundings. This is how superficiality in this line becomes a tool for your specific type, strategy, and authority. Ross said that these people are very aware of what is happening on the mundane plane around them. That is their superficiality. They are very dear about what is going on in the world around them because the primary nature of this is to keep them alive. So they are aware of what is going on around them, but if you have a conversation with them, it will be very superficial. It is like, do you notice the change in the weather? Just a little while ago, there was a change in the pressure. They talk about the kinds of things that they are aware of in the present, and they will seem very superficial. they are not. End of quote. In fact, this superficiality is related to a primal survival capacity of human being. Don't confuse the way in which these people project out their I know as if they are really only on the surface. They are not. There is a great deal going on underneath. This gate is about that primary basic alertness in the now and has the nature of a basic animal instinct, that basic alertness which keeps these people alive. Think again about the cat. Feel it. Since there is a dual expression of gates, there is also the low frequency of expression for this gate. When superficiality is expressed as limitation, you will speak without depth, just to sound wise or present, and you'll avoid deeper contemplation due to discomfort with the unknown. By being superficial, you limit yourself to stay on the surface instead of truly engaging with awareness, or you may act impulsively without deeper clarity. Expressing superficiality as a limitation is, indeed, about the low frequency of expressing this gate. Think about the cat to understand healthy shallowness in this first line. Talking about the two sides of manifestation of this line, the meaning of superficiality in Gate 20, line 1 displays some characteristics of this position, such as surface level awareness. Instead of deeply contemplating or fully integrating wisdom, this line may rely on shallow observations rather than true understanding. Speaking without depth, there can be a tendency to express things without truly embodying or fully processing them. The throat center is involved, so there may be a habit of saying what seems right in the moment, even if it lacks depth. That is quick recognition, but not always true understanding. The ability to recognize something immediately is strong, but the risk is acting or speaking before fully grasping the deeper implications. Potential for masking uncertainty. This line may sometimes project confidence or awareness, even when there is no real certainty underneath. It can be a way to cope with insecurity or lack of deeper understanding. The true power of Gate 20 lies in awareness in the now, but line 1 must be mindful not to mistake this with walking around on the surface trying to mentally absorb everything. It is not a mental process. The lesson is to balance quick recognition with deeper contemplation, ensuring that words and actions carry true wisdom and not just an appearance of it. Venus exalted, the raising of superficiality to an art form, the sloganeer. In terms of the White Book, superficial expression as an art form. When Venus is exalted in Gate 20, line 1, it brings a refined, artistic, and socially harmonious quality to the theme of superficiality. Rather than seeing superficiality as something negative, Venus elevates it into an art form, giving it charm, beauty, and influence. In relation to the sloganeer, this placement gives the ability to craft messages, phrases, or expressions that sound profound, even if they lack deep meaning. It's the power of catchy communication, branding, and persuasion. The superficial expression as an art form consists in words and actions that may not always be deeply thought out, but they can still be effective, beautiful, and socially engaging. Venus exalted brings the gift of charismatic speech, is about a natural talent for making ideas sound appealing, even if they are simple or surface level. This can be beneficial in areas like marketing, politics, social influence, or entertainment. Sometimes, at least in this line with Venus exalted, depth is not needed. A simple, well-expressed truth can be more impactful than complex analysis. Venus here knows how to say the right thing at the right time to create harmony and attraction. Venus gives to you the power of simplicity. Anyway, being simple does not equal to lack of either depth or profundity. Here are some practical examples of this energy in action. 1. Advertising and marketing. Think of brands with simple yet powerful slogans. Just do it, Nike. Think different, Apple. Because you're worth it, L'Oreal. These phrases don't need deep philosophical meaning. since they resonate emotionally and effectively influence people. 2. Politics and public speaking. A politician with this placement might excel at delivering inspiring speeches, even if they don't offer concrete solutions. We are a nation of winners. Our hospitality is our tradition. It is inspiring in a psychological way. It is not deep, and it does not have to be true. It's influential in the moment. 3. Social influence and entertainment. This energy works well for performers, influencers, and public figures who captivate audiences with their words and presence, even if they don't always express deep insights. While Venus beautifies this energy, there's always a fine line between skillfully crafted expression and empty rhetoric, between art and illusion. The challenge is to avoid over-reliance on style over substance. Don't say things just to sound good, without real awareness. Avoid manipulating words just to attract attention. However, when used correctly, this placement enhances communication, persuasion, and the ability to capture attention effortlessly. With Venus exalted in gate 20.1, the art of saying the right thing at the right time, using the right words, is a gift. It's the beauty of expression in the now. Whether it's through speech, writing, or presence, this energy elevates even surface-level awareness into something that feels profound and valuable. The moon in detriment, the superficial expression of the personality. In the White Book, the expression of the superficial personality. When the moon is in detriment in gate 20, line 1, it creates an emotional instability in the way a person expresses themselves in the present moment. Since gate 20 is about awareness in the now, and line 1 is about foundation and depth, the moon in detriment here suggests that instead of deep presence, the personality is expressed in a shallow or inconsistent way. We deal with some key themes and challenges of the moon in detriment in gate 20.1 that we have to recognize and acknowledge. A surface-level personality expression, when rather than speaking or acting from a place of deep self-awareness, this placement may lead to a more performative, superficial, or reactive way of expressing oneself. The moon governs emotions, and when it is in detriment here, there may be a tendency to express different personalities depending on emotional moods rather than consistent authenticity. It's about emotional fluctuations that affect your expression. Saying what feels right in the moment, but without depth, happens because words may come easily, but they might lack true meaning, reflection, or deep understanding. This person might present themselves differently in different settings, not necessarily out of manipulation, but because their sense of identity is shaped by external influences. This is why others may perceive you as performing a role rather than being authentic. Instead of looking deeper into one's own motives and awareness, there may be a reliance on saying or doing what seems acceptable or expected in the moment because of some struggles with self-reflection. When superficiality is unconscious is about speaking in a way that lacks real depth, just filling space with words, adapting personality to match external influences or social expectations, being emotionally inconsistent, which leads to different versions of the self being presented at different times. Difficulty accessing true self-awareness because expression is shaped by external feedback rather than inner truth. A higher expression of this placement is shown when superficiality is used wisely, meaning that you learn to pause and check emotional state before speaking or acting. You use the ability to quickly read and adapt to situations, but still keeping a core sense of authenticity. You understanding, wisely, that not all speech needs to be deep, but ensuring that important moments are met with genuine presence. Superficiality is wise when you develop the emotional stability that helps you to express in a more consistent and truthful way. Moon in detriment, in this first line, has a specific way to play out in real life. 1. You might be great at charming others or fitting into different social groups, but you may struggle with a strong sense of self. It means that you are socially adaptable, but inconsistent. 2. There may be a tendency to say things because they sound good or seem right in the moment, rather than because they are deeply understood. 3. Emotional reactivity in speech is possible to express if this person feels hurt, insecure, or unsure. For this reason, they may speak in ways that cover up those emotions rather than addressing them honestly. The challenge for Moon in Detriment in Gate 20.1 is to develop deeper self-awareness and not just say or do what feels acceptable in the moment. Instead of relying on external cues to shape personality expression, the lesson is to pause and check in emotionally before speaking. Is this really what I want to express? Cultivate self-reflection. Am I adapting too much to my environment, or am I being true to myself? Find emotional balance. Can I express myself consistently, regardless of external factors? When mastered, this placement can turn surface-level expression into a refined art, using charm, adaptability, and presence without losing authenticity. If you know this type of people, the first thing you say about them is, they are very superficial. But what you need to know about them is that if you put these people in a situation of life and death, you'll see that they are anything but superficial. You'll see the value of their superficiality. They are so aware in the now. They have this mechanical capacity in the now to respond to what is there in the now. But on the surface, they appear to be different than in those moments of threat. That is the nature of being in the now. There is nothing to do except in the moment of threat. To respond in the now momentum and in this way to be able, out of fear, to protect yourself in order to survive, in situations of life and death. This is the capacity in this gate. Gate 20, line 2, the dogmatist. In human design, Gate 20, Contemplation Now, is about awareness and recognition in the present moment, leading to right action. However, in line 2, this awareness can become narrow, rigid, or overly fixed in its perspective, leading to what is described as the dogmatic, a restrictive and intentionally limited understanding. The dogmatic is, indeed, about a specific behavior, as this keyword communicates. Instead of being open to deeper contemplation or multiple perspectives, there is a tendency to fixate on a limited view, a rigid thinking. There may be a desire to keep things simple, even when the situation calls for deeper analysis or greater awareness. Rather than fully contemplating the truth in the now, this line may rely on preconceived beliefs, assumptions, or rigid mental frameworks. That is a superficial awareness. What you may experience with the second line in your chart is about deliberate narrow-mindedness. The person may intentionally block out alternative viewpoints or refuse to go beyond a certain level of understanding, or lack of flexibility in perception. This line can represent someone who sees only what they want to see and resists expanding their awareness. In your low-frequency expression, there might be about narrow-mindedness and stubbornness, and people see you sticking to a rigid or outdated understanding despite new evidence, or refusing to listen to different perspectives or deeper insights. You express ideas that are limited or one-dimensional instead of allowing for broader awareness. Misusing the power of the throat by repeating dogmatic statements instead of speaking with fresh awareness is another way of expressing this energy to a low vibration. To a higher expression level, the dogmatic can be about focused understanding with a purpose. This can play out in situations when you know when a simplified or restricted perspective is actually useful in certain situations. You communicate clearly and concisely without unnecessary complexity. You are aware of one's own mental filters and work to expand your understanding when needed. You use discipline in thinking, but without becoming rigid or closed-minded. Someone with this line may hold on to strong opinions or ideologies and resist change, even when new insights are available. They may express themselves in a repetitive or formulaic way, instead of adapting to the present moment's reality. This person may only recognize or acknowledge what aligns with their existing beliefs, filtering out information that challenges them. When used wisely, this can express simplicity, helping to distill complex ideas into clear, actionable knowledge without unnecessary distractions. When mastered, this line can bring disciplined, focused, and practical awareness to the present moment without losing flexibility or depth. For another layer of understanding, we have to analyze this gate also from the perspective of projection field of a second line. These people are projecting out their existential potential. They are projecting out that they know who they are. I know I am, or I know I am now, is the voice of a dogmatist with a restrictive and intentionally limited understanding. These are people in the now, but what they are projecting out in the now is a narrow field. They see certain things in the now, but they do not see everything in the now because they do not have this entire periphery. Due to that, they can be very dogmatic about the now moment and the view that they have. Restrictive and intentionally limited understanding is limited perspective in that sense. Venus exalted. The limitation, if personal and exclusive, is less negative through ascetic withdrawal. In the White Book, a restrictive awareness in the now. What happens to these people is that they are going to bang into a lot of difficulty because they are individual, after all. Individuals always attract attention, and individuals have to explain themselves. They have this narrow view. What happens to them is that other people try to bring them out into the periphery, and they are very uncomfortable and back away. They back away because they are only interested in those people that are interested in their dogmatic view, because that is what they need. They need people who pay attention to their own dogmatic view. However, when Venus is exalted here, this restriction, as in restrictive awareness in the now, can take on a softer, more refined quality, one of intentional ascetic withdrawal, where the limitation serves a purpose rather than being purely dogmatic or closed-minded. When exalted in this line, its energy influences the restrictive nature of this gate in a more refined, aesthetic, or self-contained way. Instead of being stubbornly rigid or forcefully dogmatic, Venus softens the dogmatic. It brings a sense of purpose, grace, and balance to the limitation. The themes of Venus. Exalted in Gate 20.2 are very related to the fact that Venus is the planet of harmony, beauty, values, and relationships, but also to the dogmatism of this line. This is why you might experience ascetic withdrawal as a positive choice, meaning that rather than stubbornly rejecting other perspectives out of fear or ignorance, the person may choose to limit their awareness to focus deeply on something personal, spiritual, or meaningful. You may prefer solitude over argument. Instead of aggressively defending your views, you may prefer to step away and reflect rather than engage in unnecessary debate. Do you find beauty in simplicity? Because Venus adds an element of refinement, meaning the limitation isn't just a restriction, it can be a conscious distillation of what is truly valuable in the present moment. There is an ability to filter out distractions, but in a way that allows for a deeper internal experience, rather than out of resistance or rigidity. The person with Venus exalted may appear as someone who doesn't feel the need to prove themselves. They express what they know as a graceful presence in the now, and if others don't agree, they won't force it, or they back away. In your real life, this exalted placement of Venus can express as someone who chooses a life of simplicity, solitude, or self-reflection, finding value in limitation rather than feeling trapped by it. Monastic or spiritual tendencies are represented by this placement. There may be a tendency to only speak when necessary, to be minimalist in speech and thought, preferring to contemplate rather than engage in excessive discussion. Deep but selective understanding might be or become your skill. Instead of trying to know everything, you may focus on mastering a specific field, philosophy, or art. Maybe you will understand fewer things, but in great depth. In relationships, this person might limit their interactions to those who share their ideas and values rather than engaging with everyone indiscriminately. A low frequency of Venus exalted might lead to unhealthy limitation and isolation. This might occur when withdrawing not for growth, but to avoid challenges or difficult conversations, or when you are too selective and miss opportunities for expansion. It's also the low expression of this line when you limit awareness out of comfort or fear, rather than true discernment. Taking advantage of the highest expression of Venus exalted in this line will bring graceful and purposeful limitation. You can get that when choosing simplicity over distraction, but without closing off entirely. Allowing deep contemplation to lead to right action rather than speaking impulsively. Using selective awareness to refine wisdom rather than reject new ideas. With Venus exalted in Gate 20, Line 2, there is a natural grace and refinement in the way one limits their awareness. It's not about stubborn dogmatism, but rather a deliberate withdrawal to focus on what truly matters, whether in knowledge, relationships, or self-expression. Moon in detriment. The power to lead others down a narrow path. Everybody that carries the 20 carries with them the possibility to lead people in their survival process. These are people that can guide you down a path, but it is a very specific path. It is very narrow, but not with a pejorative meaning. Narrow, in relation to this gate, is not a bad word. Here is an example about how to be led down a narrow path. If you have somebody who is teaching you how to be a chiropractor, you don't want somebody who teaches you ballet every half hour. You want this narrow path so that you can go down that road and learn from that. The gift through expression of leading others down a narrow path. They usually say that they know right now what is good for you, for us. They may know or may not. They may really know what is going on in the now or not because they can be a toothless lion. It is all a projection going out. The favorite expression of moon in detriment is my way or the highway. Now, when the moon is in detriment in Gate 20, Line 2, it can influence the way one emotionally processes and expresses awareness in the present moment. In this line, associated with a restricted, sometimes dogmatic approach, the moon's placement brings both challenge and a unique gift. A key aspect of this placement is a narrow focus and expression. The energy here tends to channel awareness into a very specific, well-defined perspective. The emotional influence of the moon, when not at its strongest, can result in a limited view of what is happening in the now. This means that the individual may naturally filter and simplify experiences, leading to a clear but narrow path of understanding. You also deal with emotional leadership on a restricted path. Despite, or perhaps because of its limitations, this placement carries the power to lead others with clarity. By articulating a focused and simplified vision of the present, the person can offer guidance that is easy for others to follow. This narrow path serves as a beacon, especially in situations where too many choices or complex perspectives might overwhelm. The narrow path is that one thing, specialized, that can be used for survival. A basic theme to deal with is the gift of restrictive awareness, meaning that although the perspective is limited, there's a certain strength in that simplicity. In contexts where a clear, decisive direction is needed, the ability to reduce complexity to a single, manageable thread can be invaluable. This gift is the power to create order and certainty in the moment, even if that order is intentionally restrictive. Another key theme is the challenge of emotional fluctuations. With the moon in detriment, there's the risk of emotional volatility. The guidance offered may be subject to the individual's shifting moods or internal biases, which can lead to a path that feels dogmatic. The challenge is to balance this focused expression with enough flexibility to allow for growth and deeper insight over time. In some cases, the individual may consciously choose to limit their awareness to certain aspects of reality, perhaps as a way to protect themselves or to provide a clear framework for others. This intentional restriction can be seen as a form of ascetic withdrawal, where the complexity of life is pared down to essentials. The person's expression, though narrow, carries persuasive power. Their ability to lead others down a clearly defined path comes from the simplicity and directness of their message. This can be especially powerful in groups or situations that require immediate, focused action, even if it doesn't capture the full spectrum of reality. In a short summary, Moon and Detriment in Gate 20, Line 2 expresses a restrictive awareness in the now, one that provides a clear but narrow path for action and understanding. While this approach may be limited in depth, it carries the gift of decisive, emotionally charged leadership, guiding others with a simplified, focused perspective that can be both compelling and stabilizing when used wisely. Gate 20, Line 3, Self-Awareness. This line of Gate 20 focuses on the ability to gain insight into oneself by carefully observing and analyzing one's own actions and their immediate effects. It's about self-awareness through reflective analysis. This line embodies reflective awareness when you take a step back after acting or speaking in the moment and examine what happened. This reflective process helps in understanding how your words and behaviors shape your reality. It's also about personal accountability, when through analyzing the outcomes of your actions, you learn to recognize both strengths and areas for growth. This honest self-assessment is crucial for developing authenticity. You gain the integration of your experience when the insights you've got from looking at the direct impact of your behavior feed back into your sense of self. Over time, this process refines your ability to respond appropriately and align with your true nature. This line embodies dynamic adaptation through the immediate feedback loop when you see how your actions affect the now. This allows you to adjust your approach in real time. This makes your expression more nuanced and grounded in personal truth. In essence, Gate 20, Line 3, is the process of turning everyday experiences into a deeper understanding of who you are. It's a journey from simple presence into a more integrated self-awareness, where every action becomes a lesson that informs your future behavior. You remember that above the line, it says, understanding derived from analysis of personal actions and effects. Thinking about this, let's not forget that we are dealing with an individual process here, so we are not dealing with the collective process. We are not dealing with anything other than this deep empowerment to be individual. In the 12.3, there was this potential for exaggerated self-hatred due to the trial and error process. Here, in Gate 20.3, we have self-awareness. These are people who are only conscious of themselves in the now. They are always seeing their own process going on, so they are very self-conscious. They are really there, existentially watching their own movie. Out of that can come great wisdom. If you really watch yourself, you see what happens to you, and what happens to you is your life. It is something very valuable to watch. I would emphasize that this is a deeply personal, individual journey, not a group or collective one. It's not about fitting into or reacting to the collective pressures or group dynamics. Instead, it's about cultivating a personal empowerment. By being so attuned to themselves, these individuals gain deep insights into who they are. In short, I would say that by shifting from a mindset of self-criticism or self-hatred to one of objective self-observation, you tap into a wellspring of wisdom. This self-awareness becomes a powerful tool for personal empowerment and a deeper understanding of your life as it unfolds moment by moment. Sun exalted, the proper attunement and development of the personality through self-consciousness, the expression of self-conscious awareness in the now. So, here is the power of self-conscious awareness, the self-awareness as a strength. When the sun is exalted in this line, it shines light on the ability to use self-consciousness as a tool for personal growth and authentic self-expression. We have some concepts to break down here. 1. The proper attunement and development of the personality through self-consciousness. This means that through constant self-observation, a person refines their personality and becomes more aligned with their authentic self. Self-consciousness here isn't about insecurity. It's about watching oneself in real time and learning from those observations to improve self-expression. 2. The expression of self-conscious awareness in the now. This refers to a person who is deeply aware of their own presence and actions in the present moment. Their speech and actions come from a place of genuine, conscious expression, rather than automatic or conditioned responses. They don't just act in the now, they witness themselves acting and use that awareness to refine their personal truth. With Sun exalted, you are a natural observer of the self. You often watch your own behavior as if watching a movie, analyzing how you come across, what you say, and how your actions impact the world around you. Your self-consciousness isn't a limitation. It's a gift that allows you to express yourself with clarity, refinement, and presence. For sure, you don't just speak for the sake of speaking. You express your truth as you experience it. Over time, you may become highly attuned to who you are, refining your personality through observation. You are often wise, insightful, and deeply aware of the impact of your words and actions, living fully in the now while observing your own process with clarity and wisdom. But there is a risk of certain challenges that might occur with third-line exalted Sun, like judging themselves too harshly. Since they are always watching their own process, they may sometimes over-criticize themselves if they don't like what they see. Instead of focusing on perfection, they should recognize that self-awareness is a lifelong journey, and every moment of life provides growth. Sun exalted comes indeed with the theme, the proper attunement and development of the personality through self-consciousness. This is the theme we understood so far. But on the other side, we have Earth in detriment. Self-consciousness in the extreme that hampers development. The expression of self-consciousness in the extreme. People are so concerned with what they are doing in the now that they don't function properly anymore. This is the other side. They are so concerned about what is going on around them in the now that they literally don't have the ability to maintain their individuality or individual integrity in those situations. These people are very uncomfortable. You don't see yourself. After all, the individual is projecting out from inside of them, just like everybody else. What they are watching is the wave effect between themselves and the world. In doing so, individuals discover that most of the world does not want to have anything to do with them because they are strangers by their very nature. So there is this inherent self-consciousness in all individuals. All individuality carries within it this self-consciousness, this concern that the world does not pay any attention, or the world will not notice you, or you are not able to give an explanation. These people can carry this to the extreme, constantly watching, constantly being on the alert in the now. You may have heard a person with the 20.3 who says, "I don't like what I see. There is nothing to do because this is a mechanic." You can tell TM, if you don't see what you like, also see there is nothing you can do about that. Anybody that is here in the now gets to see everything. The trial and error in this process is that while you are watching your own movie, you learn so many things because it does not always work. Every time you are trying to watch yourself, your whole self-analysis is going to come out of interaction with others. We are talking about the 20th gate alone. We are not talking about it being connected. Third line is always looking to the other side, yet it does not know that it is there, so it will always bump into it. When they meet somebody who rejects them because they are individual, they watch this in the movie. They take all that on themselves. They become uncomfortable. Why didn't that work? Why was I made so uncomfortable? And that restricts them the next time. Or it adds to their experience and they learn to recognize who they can be, I am in the now, with. That is part of their learning process. It is a feedback process and you don't know it because you are not always connected to the rest of it. However, with Earth in detriment, You can see that there is an exaggerated self-consciousness, a hypersensitivity to one's own needs, reactions, and interactions with others, which can lead to insecurity, hesitation, or withdrawal. 1. This self-consciousness in the extreme that hampers development suggests over-awareness of one's own emotions, actions, and needs to the point where it becomes limiting. Instead of moving forward and learning through experience, the person might overanalyze their own sensitivities, preventing natural growth. 2. The expression of self-consciousness in the extreme. The way this energy manifests is through excessive concern about how one's needs, desires, or dependencies are perceived by others. The person may feel exposed, awkward, or overly sensitive to rejection, leading them to either hold back from seeking support or act in a way that draws attention to their insecurities. Earth in detriment makes you acutely aware of needs and resources. You have a deep natural awareness of what is needed for survival, comfort, or connection, both for yourself and for your tribe or community. Your sensitivity to these needs can be a strength, as it makes you highly attuned to your environment and relationships. Also, this placement brings to the people struggles with asking for help or expressing needs. Due to their over-self-consciousness, they may hesitate to express their needs openly, fearing rejection, judgment, or dependency. This can lead to bottling up emotions, which can make them feel isolated or misunderstood. It can also be observed in hesitation to engage with the tribe or community. They might withdraw from social interactions due to feeling overly exposed or vulnerable. Slowly stepping into safe and supportive environments where they can learn that expressing their needs, it's a solution that won't always lead to rejection. The key to growth is understanding that being vulnerable does not mean being weak. Gate 20, line 4, application. Here in the upper trigram, we are dealing with externalization with this one-track process, as I always say about a fourth line, as being the keywords that, next to the specific name of a gate, will help us understanding the message and the purpose of the gate. We are also dealing with the nature of opportunity, and this gate is going to meet the 10.4, the potential for awakening. That potential lies in recognizing the right opportunity. This line is called application, recognition and awareness that can only be transformed into action in cooperation with those who have the ability to act upon understanding. This is one of the keys to pure individuality. The pure individual says, I know I can integrate with you only if you can follow my knowing. If you cannot understand my explanation, this is not going to work. This is the whole thing about the knower. The knower can have a wonderful relationship with those that can grasp the explanation of the knowing. This is the nature of what application is about. Again, here we have a gate in the throat, in the upper trigram, that is open to all kinds of things, but still limited. The fourth line knows that there is a 57th gate that has the awareness, so it can say, I know I am now. It knows that the 34th gate is there with its energy, so it says, I know I am doing now. When the 10th gate is there, it can say, I know what I'm doing for myself now. Built into that mechanic is the recognition that all of those forces are there in various combinations, waiting. Application, here, speaks about turning awareness into action through cooperation. The core theme here is that awareness alone is not enough. It needs the right people to act on it. Gate 20 is about contemplation, presence in the now, and expressing what is seen in the moment. However, in line 4, we move beyond personal awareness and into the practical application of understanding, but with a limitation. The person cannot act alone. This line teaches that recognition and awareness, by themselves, are not enough to create transformation. Action requires cooperation with those who have the means or skills to bring the insight into reality. Let's break down the key concepts. 1. Recognition and awareness that can only be transformed into action. The individual sees clearly what is happening in the moment, understands the situation, and has the wisdom to recognize what needs to be done. However, having awareness does not automatically mean having the ability to act upon it effectively. 2. In cooperation with those who have the ability to act upon the understanding. This means that action depends on collaboration with others who have the practical means, authority, or skills to turn insight into reality. The role of the person with Gate 20, Line 4, is often to express, communicate, or guide, while others take the physical action needed to create change. You may have observed that in your life you have the role of the observer, of the communicator. You see what needs to happen but rely on others to act. You may be in a leadership or advisory role, guiding action rather than executing it yourself. You are seen by the people in your life as a natural collaborator. Your success depends on being aligned with the right people, those who can translate insight into tangible results. You may feel frustrated if you are surrounded by people who don't listen or who fail to act upon your recognition. Trying to force action on your own is just a pitfall. It may not work effectively due to the inherent need for cooperation in this line. Find the right partners. Align with doers, with people who can execute plans based on the insights you provide. Working with teams, leaders, or organizations that recognize your awareness is key to success. Your role is to bring awareness into the present moment. It will reach the right people when the timing is correct. Gate 20, Line 4 is about the recognition of truth in the moment, but with the understanding that action requires collaboration with those who have the power to execute change. The challenge is accepting that they are not meant to act alone, but rather to express their awareness so the right people can act upon it. When aligned with the right team, network, or community, this can be a powerful energy for transformation and leadership. It shouldn't be felt like a limitation. This application has two sides. The Jupiter side, exalted, the teacher whose students transcend him, her, and the Mercury side, in detriment, the tendency to prefer theory to application. They are not very different because this is the knower that says, I know, but I need you to recognize that knowing, and if you do so, it is of value for you. I may even give you enough value as a base so that you can transcend me seeing me, or that person, as a teacher. Jupiter exalted. A person with this placement has the potential to guide and influence others in such a way that their students, or those they inspire, may surpass them. The true teacher is one who enables others to succeed beyond their own capabilities. You may have observed in your life and relationships some specific situations for this placement, such as you may naturally find yourself in teaching, mentoring, or leadership roles, even if not in a traditional sense. Your strength lies in your ability to articulate awareness in a way that moves others to action. You might not always see immediate results, but your impact is long-term, as those you teach evolve and even surpass you. You felt like patience is key, since you may not always get credit for what you start, but your influence remains significant. In the White Book, where the expression of awareness can only be turned into action through others, the teacher, or the expression of awareness as theory with little interest in its application. Well, it is not important for that knower who does not have his own energy. Many people with the fourth line detriment are people who know things in the now and have all kinds of theories that have come out of that recognition in the now. But they don't care what anybody does with it. The exalted has the same experience, experiencing things in the now, knowing something about that, and immediately wanting to be able to empower others with that knowledge. Both of these sides of the line are teachers. The exalted teacher always gets exactly the right students, and the detriment teacher gets the students that they know can't really grasp it and who will never be able to transcend them. So, they are just happy enough to offer the theory. Mercury and detriment. A tendency to prefer theory to application. The expression of the awareness as theory with little interest in its application. This placement indicates a person who is naturally gifted at articulating awareness, but may struggle with putting that awareness into action. Instead of being a hands-on teacher, this person may enjoy discussing ideas, exploring theories, and explaining concepts without necessarily applying them in real life. There is a strong communication, but limited action. This energy thrives in expressing what is known, but it can lack the drive to turn insights into tangible results. The person may love explaining things, writing, or philosophizing, but might not feel the need to test their ideas in practice. We have a theme of theory over practicality, so the focus is on knowledge and understanding rather than execution. This could manifest as someone who is highly intellectual but may avoid hands-on work or direct action. The observer or advisor role. Instead of actively participating, this person may feel more comfortable guiding others with their insights while staying in the background. They may act as an insightful consultant rather than an implementer. If this detriment is part of your design, for sure you need to find ways to overcome potential challenges and getting on your path for personal growth. It may be helpful to partner with people who can take action on your insights, or developing a balance between theory and application can increase the impact of your awareness. You may recognize that even sharing ideas is a form of contribution. Your role might be to provide the framework while others execute. Gate 20, Line 5, Realism. The theme of realism in Line 5 suggests a practical, grounded approach to contemplation and action. The specific interpretation, contemplation, in and of itself is no guarantee of success, highlights the idea that merely thinking about something, no matter how deeply, is not enough to bring success or transformation. Instead, contemplation must lead to practical action when the timing is right. The realism of this line, through the theme of contemplation that is no guarantee of success, is about grounded awareness, call to action, avoiding illusions, pragmatism and expression. Unlike more abstract or passive contemplation, this line suggests that one must engage with reality and not get lost in overthinking. Grounded awareness is needed. There is an understanding that awareness is valuable only when it leads to meaningful, well-timed action. Those with this line need to be cautious of getting stuck in theoretical ideas without taking real steps toward change. They need to avoid illusions. Since Gate 20 is connected to the throat center, this line suggests that what is spoken or expressed should be based on truth and practicality, on pragmatism rather than empty words or wishful thinking. You may have observed in your life, if you have Gate 20, Line 5, that naturally reflect on life and ideas, but you will only see real success when you apply your insights in a practical way. You might also serve as a realist for others, helping them see that contemplation alone is not enough and encouraging them to take action. This line reminds us that while deep thought is valuable, true impact comes from acting when the time is right. For a more complete understanding of this line, we have to think of this line as a line of universalization that gets projected on. Everybody is projecting on this line that these people know. Everybody is projecting on them that they are the ones that know what is really going on in the now. They may or may not. It's a very difficult line because of this projection. The first thing that the fifth line of the 20 knows is that contemplation in and of itself is no guarantee of success. Fifth line knows that it is not enough to be existential. If you don't have any power, what will you do with what you recognize in the now? If you don't have any awareness, what can you make of it? And if you don't have any identity, who are you in the now? These are three other gates that the 20th gate points towards. Since we are in the upper trigram, the fifth line recognizes, because it is deeply aware, that there is the other side. They know that all three of those gates are out there and know that being in the now is not enough. You can be in the now. You can stand there and say, "Oh, there is a car coming towards me." But if you don't have a motor, you will die. It is not going to help you to be conscious of that in the now. It does not help you to be existential if you can't get out of the way. The fifth line understands the cold, hard reality of what life is, and there is nobody else in this life that you are going to meet that will point to life and to show you all of its beauty and all of its ugliness. That is what they see. They see the reality of what things are. This is not necessarily pleasing. Saturn exalted, where concentration on details results in a perfected form. Perfected form is part of the whole integration process. These people recognize after a while that it is not enough to be existential. I have to find out where all these other sources of energy and power and awareness are so that I can access them in order to get to the perfected form of survival. The Saturn exalted interpretation highlights the importance of precision, mastery of details, and the ability to express awareness effectively. Let's break it down. 1. Saturn, exalted, where concentration on details results in a perfected form. Saturn represents discipline, structure, and responsibility. When exalted, it brings an energy of focus, patience, assiduity, and mastery over details. This means that true success comes from refining awareness through careful observation and a deep understanding of details rather than rushing into action. Instead of just reacting to the present moment, this line teaches that when you pay close attention to details, your actions and words can be more impactful and precise. It emphasizes realism and practicality, ensuring that awareness is expressed in a way that aligns with truth and clarity rather than vague or impulsive communication. 2. The success of expressing awareness through detail. This means that when you consciously refine how you communicate or act on your awareness, you achieve greater success. Gate 20 is in the throat center, which governs expression and manifestation. This line suggests that the most effective communication comes from precision and a clear understanding of details. It's not about just speaking whatever comes to mind. It's about carefully structuring thoughts so that they have real meaning and impact. How this manifests in real life. You might be someone who thinks before speaking, ensuring that your words carry wisdom and clarity. Your strength lies in being able to articulate complex awareness in a way that others can understand and apply. When you take time to refine and perfect your insights, you are more likely to be heard and respected. This line teaches that realism and precision in communication create success, rather than vague ideas or overly idealistic perspectives. Uranus in detriment, where reality creates dissatisfaction and adds to instability. Uranus stands for suddenness and unexpectedness. These are people that walk out of their house in the morning and they see everything that is ugly. They see the garbage that was not put in the garbage can. They see the drunk that is sitting in the doorway. They see the rust eating away at the bottom of a car. They see what needs to be repaired. They see the grayness in people's faces, the coldness in their eyes. They get the whole movie with one breath. It is a real gift that these people have. But unless they are connected to awareness, unless they are connected to the motor, unless they are connected to the identity, they are deeply uncomfortable with this capacity to see the world as it is. They are not believers. These are not abstract people. They don't have any faith. They are not logical people trying to find a pattern and project into the future. They just look around and see what they see. The success of expressing awareness through detail, or the expression of awareness in the now through dissatisfaction with the reality one sees. These people sound like whiners, but they are not. They really do see what is ugly. For them, that is quite a burden in their life because it is very hard for them unless they are integrated to the rest of this integration system. It is hard for them to see why life is worth surviving. Now, when Uranus is in detriment, it brings themes of unpredictability, rebellion, and dissatisfaction with reality. Let's break it down. 1. Where reality creates dissatisfaction and adds to instability. Uranus represents change, disruption, and a push for freedom from limitations. In detriment, its energy is restless, causing frustration with the present moment. This means that what is seen and experienced in the now often feels unsatisfactory, leading to a sense of instability or a need for change. Instead of accepting things as they are, this placement challenges the status quo, creating tension between realism and the desire for transformation. 2. The expression of awareness in the now through dissatisfaction with the reality one sees. Gate 20 is about expressing awareness, but with Uranus in detriment, that expression often comes in the form of dissatisfaction, criticism, or a desire for change. This could manifest as speaking out against what is not working in a blunt or disruptive way, or feeling disconnected from the present moment because reality doesn't match expectations. There is also a tendency to challenge norms, sometimes in a way that others find unsettling. The mind is constantly seeking a better reality, which can create a cycle of instability if there is no acceptance of what is. You may feel like, in your life, things are never quite right. There's always something that could be improved. Your awareness is sharp, but if frustration dominates, you might struggle to express it constructively. Learning to channel dissatisfaction into meaningful action rather than just restlessness is the key here. This placement suggests that success comes when awareness is expressed in a way that leads to practical improvement, rather than just dwelling on what is wrong. Gate 20, line 6, wisdom. When we reach line 6, we see the highest potential of this gate, wisdom. Also remember that line 6 is interested upon and has visibility over the entire circuit. It doesn't see just the other ends of the channels, 2057, 2034, 2010. Wisdom here comes through, above the line, contemplation, which results in the ability to apply understanding. What does it mean? We know that line 6 is the role model line, representing deep reflection, insight, and a broad perspective on life. Unlike line 5, which is focused on realism and problem solving, line 6 moves beyond observation into true wisdom, meaning it doesn't just see reality, but understands how to apply that awareness effectively. This is the transition from simply knowing to embodying knowledge in a way that leads to meaningful action. There is a sense of detachment, of course, like any 6th line, not in a negative way, but in a way that allows for clear, objective understanding without emotional or mental biases. If you have this line in your chart, you process life deeply. You don't just react in the moment, but reflect on experiences to extract wisdom. Your words and actions carry a sense of clarity and purpose because they are based on true understanding, not just immediate thoughts. You might find that people seek you out for advice, sensing that your awareness goes beyond surface-level thinking. The challenge here is patience. Sometimes wisdom needs time to mature before it can be fully applied. Well, we have wisdom in the now, in this 6th line, and since gate 20 is connected to the throat center, this wisdom is meant to be expressed. However, unlike other lines of gate 20 that might speak impulsively, line 6 tends to wait for the right moment to share its insights. The key here is knowing when to stay silent and observe, and when to speak and take action. But there is something that makes this line special. It's the true voice of wisdom, one that does not rush into conclusions, but waits until understanding is fully formed. It represents the ability to see the bigger picture, contemplate deeply, and act with maturity. Like all 6 lines, there is something else that is at work here. When you say contemplation, which results in the ability to apply understanding, that may or may not be the case. This is a deeply individual line. Any individual line says, I am now. This line does not care about the world, and this line can be misread that way. They never had the idea for even a fraction of a moment that what they were going through in the now could be of value to anybody. Ra Uru Hu said, "This is typical of the 6th line. What is there for me to say to the collective if I don't know anything myself?" And all knowers are like that. They know things and they don't know things, and they go through their life. This line is about the individual staying with their individual process. There is within it the ability to transform individual awareness for general application and understanding. Don't stand in line and wait for that. The fact that there is the ability does not mean, like all 6 lines, that is going to come out, and very often that wisdom looks very dumb. End of quote. Venus exalted, the establishment for the benefit of society, values, ideals, and their patterns, and how they can be understood and applied. The ability to transform individual awareness for general application and understanding. Now, let's think. Gate 20, the gate of the now, is about being fully present and expressing awareness in the moment. Line 6 represents wisdom, the highest potential of this gate, where contemplation leads to applied understanding. When Venus is exalted in this line, it brings themes of harmony, values, and societal benefit. Venus exalted brings the wisdom of transforming awareness for society. Let's break it down. 1. The establishment for the benefit of society, values, ideals, and their patterns, and how they can be understood and applied. It seeks to create structures that benefit not just the individual, but the collective. This means that wisdom isn't just for personal use. It's meant to be shared and applied in ways that uplift society. There is a natural ability to identify patterns in human behavior, values, and ideals, and find ways to translate them into practical applications. This is the teacher, the mentor, or the role model, someone who turns deep awareness into guidance that helps others. 2. The ability to transform individual awareness for general application and understanding. This line isn't just about having awareness, it's about making awareness accessible and useful to others. It suggests the ability to take deep personal insights and translate them into wisdom that benefits the collective. This could manifest in many ways. A thought leader who brings clarity to complex topics. A mentor or teacher who guides others toward deeper self-understanding. A social visionary who sees how individual awareness can shape and improve collective experiences. The wisdom here is not just theoretical, it is meant to be lived and shared in a way that makes a real difference. For sharing, 6-line people must know how to explain themselves. Your wisdom may have a universal quality, making it relevant across different cultures, systems, and communities. If fully aligned, you naturally create harmony between personal truth and collective progress. This placement suggests that your awareness is not meant to stay within you. It is meant to be shared in a way that transforms society. Venus brings the beauty of values, fairness, and love, meaning that your wisdom is meant to guide others toward greater understanding and alignment with universal truths. What is important for this 6th line is to remember that even they have the wisdom and qualities that we've just analyzed. These people are not necessarily going to put that energy out on you and take their individual experience and try to turn that into a direction for you. It is very difficult for the individual to do that. They have to know, they have to be able to explain it. They have to have those that are willing to listen, and ultimately, those that can actualize it before there is any certainty in any of that. On one side, we saw Venus exalted, the establishment for the benefit of society, values, ideals, and their patterns, and how they can be understood and applied. The Mercury in detriment is not any different. It is the theoretical, the same as above, but motivated by the self-satisfying mental challenge rather than altruism. These are very individual people living out a very individual process. Because there is no such thing as personal karma, these people can be pulled into the needs of others, and if they live long enough and their existential process has been broad enough, they may be able to make a contribution to the totality. But all 6 lines wait for some kind of force that projects that on them. Ra Uruhu gives his own experience as an example. I got that in a very clear way in my confrontation with the voice. I had to deal with something that imposed upon me, something that was not there naturally. The mutation was brought to me. Otherwise, none of that stuff would have had any value. It is true for all 6 lines. End of quote. I am not saying that you can't experience a 6th line unless you have some kind of science fiction event. That is not true. What I'm saying is that there are only very special circumstances in your life that are going to bring out the potential of any 6th line. When you have children that have a lot of 6 lines, or they have a Sun-Earth configuration that is in the 6th line, you have to recognize that you may never see their potential. You can never allow these children to feel uncomfortable because of that. The reality is that they are gifted, but it is up to life whether or not that gift has any real value. We all have special attributes, but it is a question of what life demands and not what we have. So many people are deeply frustrated because what they have they want to push out into the world. But if the world is not ready for it, and the world doesn't want it, the world will not take it. This is just the way things work. All 6 lines, in that sense, are waiting for a sign from the gods, whatever that sign happens to be. It does not have to be spiritual or mystical. It can be a car accident. It can be all kinds of things that trigger the potential that lies inside all of these 6 lines. Mercury in detriment. The intellectual drive to transform awareness. With Mercury in detriment, the motivation behind this wisdom shifts. Let's break it down. 1. The establishment for the benefit of society, values, ideals, and their patterns, but motivated by the self-satisfying mental challenge rather than altruism. Mercury represents communication, intellect, and learning. In detriment, its focus becomes more self-serving, meaning that the desire to share wisdom is driven by personal mental stimulation rather than a deep sense of service. Instead of being motivated by a desire to help others, as seen in the Venus exalted version, this placement enjoys the intellectual challenge of breaking down awareness and applying it in ways that test the mind rather than just benefiting society. It's not necessarily negative. This placement suggests someone who is deeply curious and enjoys the process of understanding, structuring, and communicating knowledge, but without an emotional or altruistic drive. The focus is on the game of understanding itself, rather than a need to inspire or guide others. 2. The ability to transform individual awareness for general application for the mental challenge. The key difference from the Venus exalted version is the why. Venus exalted applies wisdom for the betterment of society. Mercury in detriment applies wisdom because it's an interesting intellectual exercise. The person with this placement might enjoy debating ideas and playing with perspectives, but not necessarily with a mission to improve the world. Have a sharp analytical mind, but be more concerned with proving a point than with guiding others. Be drawn to problem-solving, philosophy, or abstract thinking, engaging in these pursuits for the sake of the challenge rather than a need to serve humanity. In your real life, you might feel most alive when engaged in deep, mentally stimulating conversations that challenge your intellect. You could have a talent for identifying and explaining patterns in society, but you may do it more for the thrill of discovery than a desire to help others. Maybe you may are seen as a brilliant thinker, but sometimes detached or uninterested in whether your wisdom is truly applied by others. With Mercury in detriment, wisdom is still present, but the motivation shifts from service to intellectual exploration. The mind thrives on understanding reality, not necessarily changing it for the better. The challenge is to balance this natural curiosity with a deeper sense of purpose, ensuring that knowledge is not just collected for the sake of mental stimulation, but also used effectively in the world. Now let's move on to a different perspective to see how the 20th gate sustains or communicates the purpose of life through the crosses of incarnation that are established when the conscious sun is placed within the 20th hexagram. Right angle cross of the sleeping phoenix 2, consisting of following gates: 20, 34, 55, 59. Charismatic people constantly busy, totally absorbed in getting things done, or simply busy being in their creative process while they wait for the coming mutation. The energy you carry is about being busy. It doesn't matter what you are doing, you just know that being busy is what you need to be. There is a strong degree of individualism in this energy, and from that you can derive strength or aloneness, joy or melancholy. You can be busy and be happy, or be busy with your sadness. Finding the happiness is up to you. Juxtaposition. Cross of the now, consisting of following gates: 20, 34, 37, 40. People whose busyness serves the tribe, family, pair bond, and community. A push-pull between the community and what they want to focus their energy on. This cross carries the energy of being in the present moment. It also carries the energy of family and community. The challenge for you is that you can become so lost in the now that you lose sight of your friends, family, and community. Ultimately, if you can find the balance to maintain your being in the now and your connectedness to your community, you can be a model for being present. Left angle cross of duality, consisting of following gates: 20, 34, 37, 40. People who impress others with and find fulfillment in their busyness and industry. Bargaining that creates bridging and mutually beneficial associations. You are here to be the mutative force in the tribe. You carry very industrious energy to do things and get them done. The individual aspects you introduce may be attractive for your community to adapt into their practice. However, not all individual changes are adaptive for two reasons. 1, you may wish to keep it as your own thing and not share it. 2, the group or community may not see the value in your new ways and reject it. So there is a dance that you will do in this life, bringing change to the group or community and seeing if it is adopted or not. I hope this material is helpful and supporting for the development of your human design knowledge. Please share if you enjoyed listening and subscribe if you want to be notified about any new posting of informative learning materials regarding human design. Thank you.